Kofi, I was supposed to start with some rapid fire questions just to introduce you to everyone.
Let's do it.
They're going to be personal. They're going to be spicy.
Even better.
All right. So I'll start with rapid fire. Who was the most influential person for you in your career?
Not career, but life, I would say, is Kofi Annan, former UN Secretary General. Seeing a Ghanaian and an African in that role was incredible.
Such a legend. Plus the name. I see it. I see it there. First job?
First job, working for my dad. My dad had a small clinic, and so I was doing patient intake when I was 16. People would come in, I would record their symptoms, I would take their blood pressure. I can still accurately measure blood pressure. So, first job.
That's awesome. Well, maybe this will help me. If you weren't a marketer, what would be your job?
Sportscaster. I always wanted to be on ESPN, on SportsCenter.
That would be my dream job too.
It's great.
I mean, you
great
just
job.
have fun, you just
Exactly.
talk.
Exactly.
That's awesome. That would be mine too. Podcast or book favorites or really enjoyed lately?
Currently obsessed with Acquired, which if you don't listen to is the in-depth business breakdown of all sorts of incredible businesses.
I love it. We won one for DoorDash.
It's coming. I think there actually is an Acquired episode about DoorDash.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, there is one already.
There is.
Oh, I didn't know that. I'll check it out. And then what's the one thing in your bucket list that is top of your mind?
Bucket list for me would be at some point, my kids were born in the UK and in the US, but I'm Ghanaian, and at some point I want to take the kids back to live in Ghana for like a year.
That's awesome. That's an amazing experience. My mom is from Africa too. Africa is just
Where?
Angola.
Oh, of course. Yeah,
beautiful.
Of course.
All right, so let's get to business. I think the first question that I have is, as a CMO, it is kind of a risky job. I work on that. I advise CMOs. I'll talk about that. What was a couple of moments that were fearless, that you weren't sure that you should do something or not, but you just decided to go for it and take the risk?
Yeah, I'd say that the first thing I'd say is that, I think in this business, your biggest risk is that most of the work you do is going to be irrelevant. People don't want to pay attention. People don't want to be interrupted. People don't want to be marketed to. And so the greatest risk is doing stuff that's going to be ignored. So for us, we try to make everything we do have some punch to it, have some disruptiveness to it, have something that's going to make people care. And I'd say a lot of the campaigns we ship, if you were to see them, whether it's, from 2 years ago, we did the self-love bouquet for Valentine's Day, which was, 11 roses and one the rose, the famous sex toy on the internet at the time. But that was based on the fact that we knew that most of the people on our platform at the time were singles. So long as it's based in an insight, even though the expression might be provocative, we feel like it's the right thing to do, because how else were we going to get people to pay attention?
Yeah, you got to be relevant. It has to be different, but you got to base that on data. Do you guys start with that, with data about your customers?
We start with a lot of data and with customer insight. So one of our values at DoorDash is this notion of being customer obsessed and not competitive focused. So a lot of our work starts with looking at our data, understanding what we can about our customers from our data, conversations with customers. All of us at the company are actually required to dash. So everyone at the company has to do deliveries. And that's the customer obsession. We all have to go out, and when we understand that experience, we share that back with the product teams as feedback. And so it's baked into how we work.
Yeah, and you guys are very data intensive. I mean, I'm sure you have a lot of data, you use data. It's a great company. The one thing I actually liked about you guys when I was talking to you is you also have a bias to action. You actually do things. I see a lot of organizations that just overthink things, and no one really knows the answer until they do it and try, experiment, and refine. So kudos to you guys. You do that. You do a lot.
Yeah, I think part of it is that our business is a daily business. So every day we wake up and we have a scorecard. We have a number of orders that we're trying to get that day. We have a number of subscriptions. We have a number of customers. We have a percentage of defects that we will not allow. We think about how many credits are going to get issued on that day. If you work in a daily business, bias for action is the only answer, because you have to do something today and tomorrow.
You got to earn your dollars every day. That's a good point.
There is nowhere to hide.
That sounds stressful.
It's not stressful, but it's fun.
But it's fun.
Yeah.
I want to touch influencers and creators and the creator economy. I know you guys are deep in it. I know that AI is now bringing another angle to it. Can you talk a little bit more about what you guys are doing in the space?
Sure, and I think there's two angles to it. So I think on the creator and influence side, we've just found that for a lot of the things we do, that allows us to scale in really incredible ways. So like a live example right now is we're launching our Summer of Dash Pass campaign. Dash Pass is our subscription product. We focus on 6 weeks in the summer where we're giving people incredible deals and benefits. So at the very top, the insight is that like summer is amazing for kids, but it's a financial nightmare for parents, which if you have kids during the summer, it's summer camps, they're in your house all the time, they're driving you nuts.
Yeah.
And so we leaned into that, and so the idea is like summer scaries. And so at the top, we brought back like 90s, 2000s slasher icons. So it's Freddie Prinze, it's Ali Larter, it's that crew. But then the way we cascaded through the line is like we have a bunch of mid-tier influencers, and then at the local level, we have hundreds of micro-influencers that are talking directly to their communities about the savings they can get in particular restaurants or stores.
Like summer camps around like regions.
Exactly.
That's awesome. How do you scale that? How do you activate that so fast?
I mean, it takes a lot of work,
Wow.
and it takes some great partners. It takes like platforms that allow us to be able to scale across all those regions. So we found that like influencer for us is big. We did a thing earlier this year with Mr. Beast around,
That's
you know,
big.
I mean,
saw that.
he's
Yeah,
the
I saw
biggest
that.
one.
Yeah, he's probably the biggest one.
But again,
So you go for like a big one, but you also work on the mid-tier, local.
every level, because we find that they all deliver different value to us.
Exactly. For different use cases.
Different use cases, right? So I think, and then on the AI front, I mean, certainly there's an opportunity. So even on this Summer of Dash Pass campaign, we're using that to build a lot of templates that we're then shipping out to all the small and medium businesses around the country that are participating in the campaign, so that they can then tell their followers on social,
That's
like, you can get this deal on DoorDash this week, right? So like we're trying to find ways to scale what we do across the entire
To actually
ecosystem.
help partners actually advertise. That's a great use
100%,
case.
because a lot of small and medium
They just don't
businesses,
have the resources.
they do not have the resources. They do not have marketing teams. So how do we create a tool that allows them to be able to do that and tell their followers that they're part of this moment?
To help your partners marketing. I haven't thought about that.
Yeah.
I was just
Cool.
thinking about the customer side, but you're right.
Yeah.
So let's talk about it, because you just talked about the summer campaigns, and you guys expanded much beyond food. Like we were talking about the bridal gowns, we were talking about everything else. How are you thinking about the evolution of your brand now that you're getting outside of your categories and trying net new categories? Like, how are you telling the story? What is DoorDash for consumers?
Yeah, so I think, 6 years ago, we were a restaurant business. And so if you think about, the campaign we did maybe in 2019 was this notion of every flavor welcome. It was very much about restaurant. And it was like, we're America's Kitchen. Everything you could possibly want, you can find on DoorDash. Now we do all sorts of things. To your point, like Dave's Bridal, Lowe's, Home Depot, like all of these things are on the platform. And so the conversation we're having with customers now is this notion of like DoorDash is your door to more, right? It's your door to more selection in terms of more categories, but more fundamentally, it's your door to the things you want in your life, right? It's the door to the fact that like you no longer have to like do this and you can spend time with your kids.
Yeah.
It's about
Whenever you need.
whatever you
can
need, we're there. And so where we want the brand to live is this notion of being your 24/7 life assistant, right? That like DoorDash actually, whatever you need, and that's true not just on the consumer side. If you're someone who's looking to earn, DoorDash can help you do that through the gig. If
Any day, anytime.
anything, anytime. If
Good
you're
point.
a business that's looking to grow,
Good point.
we're your door to helping you do that. So that's how we're thinking about it.
That's very cool. I wanted to talk also about personalization. I wanted to spend time on this because for me in your business, that first show in your app, when you actually have the feed, I mean, you have a couple of seconds to actually capture users' attention. You guys have done a lot. I mean, I'm a user, so I can tell that you know everything that I've done yesterday and 2 weeks ago.
We know, and we will help you find the next thing you
which
want.
I love
Yeah.
personally. But tell me a little bit about how do you see this evolving? How do you see personalization evolving? And we can talk about AI, of course,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
that comes to mind. But
Yeah, I mean, look, I think for us, it's really fundamental to our business in so many ways, right? If you think about ultimately the thing we want to build is to create more and more value for you every time you come back to the platform. And we can do that the better we understand you. And so a lot of that is like obviously leveraging the data from your behavior on the platform and offering that back up to you. So if you open the app, you're now going to see like your reorder opportunity. Like, I know that you now like this restaurant, so I'm going to put that in front of you because I'm going to make it easy. Or I'm going to use other data to basically inform what I think you might be interested in based on other inferences that we have about you on your behavior. Maybe you've browsed grocery, but you've never shopped it.
Yeah,
That's
so I'm hesitating. So I
Yeah,
probably
you
need a
hesitate.
prompt for it.
Correct. But then that might mean that I need to send you an email that has an offer for you to try grocery. So we think not just about the app, but CRM, push notifications, promotions. How do we start to personalize promos to you that are not just random? It's not just like you're getting a promo. You're getting a promo because you're in a particular state or life stage, or you've shown some signal of your behavior. And so we try to really bake that through like how we operate everything. And then obviously on the media side, it gets more challenging because that's outside of our ecosystem.
Yeah, you don't have as much signals.
Correct.
The IDs don't tie all the
Correct.
time.
Correct.
Yeah.
But it's hugely important.
And I'm going a bit off script because I feel that every company knows that that's critical, but so many companies struggling to do what you just said, which is the right time, the right message. What's your secret sauce? I mean, this is a new question. Like, why do you think you guys are better at execution?
I mean, honestly, I think this is hard for everyone. I don't think there's
no magic.
There's no magic bullet because I think the advantage we have is we have 42 million monthly active users.
True.
We
have a ton of data.
We have like millions of orders every single day. We have 16 million Dash Pass subscribers. So there's an enormous amount of activity.
Yeah,
we have 2 million Dashers every month that are out on the road dashing. And so once you can accrue scale, when it comes to personalization, that is an advantage because then you get to learn more and more about people. And over time, you can combine that with other sources of data. We can start to actually ask explicit preferences from our customers. So in the app, you might see like, hey, what are you interested in? Or we might send an email. We might ask you for feedback. But all of those signals then allow us to like understand you better and serve you. But even for us, it's challenging because, I shop my entire life on DoorDash, but like for some reason, I don't shop pets.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's like, even for me, like that is an opportunity for the company to earn from me, but they don't understand the full picture of all of my behavior.
Exactly.
Because how
they
would
just don't know. Yeah. They just don't know. But you're right. I mean, you have a lot of first-party data. You will have a lot of transactions. And you're probably a more tech-native company too, which probably
Absolutely.
helps. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think the other thing to say is like how we operate as a business, like data analytics is absolutely core to all of it.
Yeah.
So it's not something we had to go learn how to do. That's how the business was built from the ground up.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that's a big advantage.
Yeah.
All right. So shifting a little bit from data and AI more to culture and commerce. You're a highly scaled business. You're going to grow. Revenue is a main point. But how do you see your responsibility in terms of, what's going on in the world, the cultural side? How do you reflect the values? You talked about communities on the summer stuff. So what do you guys think about that? What do you guys do? Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, I mean, there's a number of things. I think the first thing to say is like our mission fundamentally is to empower local economies. And if you think about like what is the core problem that DoorDash is trying to solve, it's the fact that over the past couple of decades, like traffic has moved online. So if you're a local business, you are not getting people walking into your store. And so you're seeing main streets around the country.
Yeah, that happened with malls first. They concentrated and then everything
the malls and then everything. So it's like, how do we help these businesses in a world that's moving online and on demand? How do we help you compete? So that's the fundamental notion. And so for us, everything really starts with that local business and building the types of products that help them be competitive in a world that, frankly, the macro trends are not in their favor. So how do we take you from being a brick and mortar business to a fully digital business, whether that's on DoorDash or even helping you with your own first party channels, right? So that's how we think about it. Even the ads tools that we build are built with the merchant in mind. So we built this product on our sponsored listings product. It's unique in the industry. It doesn't charge you on an impression. It doesn't charge you on a click. It only charges on conversions. Why? Because if you're a local restaurant in New Jersey, you cannot risk a marketing dollar. You have to know what you're going to get back.
So just so you give me an example, if I'm a restaurant in New Jersey and I say, what I want is having orders from 100 net new clients, you quote me an outcome, and then you deliver if you deliver.
If I don't deliver, you don't pay me.
That's a pretty good proposition.
And it's an amazing product, right? And so we're now at the point where like our ads business, as a result of this sort of maniacal customer focus and thinking about the local merchant and local community, we're at the point where we announced last week that we've crossed $1 billion in revenue at the end of last year, which is incredible. It's the fastest growing retail media network in history.
Because it's tied to, I guess it's like advertising, but also a tool to
100%
help businesses scale and do business.
100%. And
That's
then I
awesome.
think there's other things that we think about from the community level. So if you think about like a core problem that a platform like ours can help with, you think about things like food insecurity, right? Food insecurity, particularly in the United States, is not a problem of there not being food. It's food not in the right place, right? So there's food and there's waste and there's people that don't have access to food. And so a logistics platform can actually be very useful. So
Absolutely.
we built this thing, Project Dash, which works with food banks, with local governments, with national governments to actually help distribute food. And it's now done, I think, north of 28 million meals. And it's incredible. But it's leveraging our scale for the benefit of the community.
To basically like anything that would be waste to distribute
Correct.
it, anything
Correct.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never thought about it,
Yeah.
but like government could be a big client too in that
Big
those
partner.
regards.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'll ask you the most ambiguous question, which is, I know that you just told me about the door-to-door, like anything you want, we'll get out your door. I like the proposition to the actual workers, the actual DoorDash workers. How do you see the brand evolving? Like, where do you see DoorDash going to in the next few years in terms of brand equity, brand message, to maintain the competitive edge on something I know is highly competitive? It's a highly competitive market.
Yeah, I mean, look, this industry is intensely competitive.
Every day is hustling,
every
right?
day. Every day is a grind. But for us, I think, we were talking earlier about how we see the brand and this notion of being your 24/7 life assistant. I think that is an enduring proposition, because when I think about the factors that like make it challenging to be a person in the world, they're not going away. Things are moving faster. We're all getting
That's true.
busier.
We want more stuff.
The world is getting more hectic. Like, we're all under immense time pressure. And like, none of that is going to change. If anything, it's going to accelerate. And those demands will only go up. And people's expectations of us will only go up. So when we think about the brand journey, we think long term, it's still about this notion of being the 24/7 life assistant. But how we express it might be different. And the categories we bring online might be different. And the ways that we do it might be different. But the proposition will stay the same.
100%. I mean, people have less time. People need more convenience. Do you see, like, I like the assistant itself, and maybe I'm migrating too much into product, but in the end, you have a relationship with the product. Like, you can have a conversational interface at a certain point. I mean, there's so many things you guys can evolve to.
There's a lot of stuff that we're testing, and it's like super early. But you're absolutely right. You can see a world where you should get to the place where this thing knows me so well that it can start to act on my behalf. Like, you can start to do things that set it.
Agentic flows.
You can set
basically.
things that set it and forget it. Like,
Yeah,
my
set it.
family has a Friday pizza night.
Yeah.
That is not going away. Like, every Friday. So like, why should I go through that? Like, the app knows that.
They should almost confirm with you. If
Correct.
You
Yeah.
want
Do
to
you
do
still want
everything
that? Yeah.
They know what you like. They know
Correct.
the ingredients you like.
Correct.
Yeah, I'm starting to think so much data, so much connection with the offline world too. That's a lot of
100%.
interesting cases.
100%.
That's very cool.
Yeah. It's a lot.
That's very cool. I'm refraining myself from asking confidential stuff.
It's a lot.
All right. Well, Kofi, thank you very much for the time. Thank you so much for the questions.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan, and I'm really looking forward to see what you guys do in the next few years in terms of your brand and what you do in marketing.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you very much.
All right.